But Ted O'Brien is a shadow energy minister and he joins us now from Queensland because the words of the Japanese ambassador are ringing in his ears. He was on with Tony Abbott and Peter Credlin earlier tonight talking about how if Australia gets out of the energy production that is needed for the rest of the world, that'll be bad for places like Japan.
Frankly speaking, it's a concerning, development, Peter, and I think this is a reflection of deep trust we have been, holding for Australia because, this magic number, 764. Among Japan's imports, 70% of coal, 60% of iron ore, 40% of gas come from this beautiful country of Australia. That is why, this recent development is a matter of concern to a number of Japanese trading houses, energy companies and steel companies, and I've been trying my best to convey those concerns to friends in Australia.
Ted, what a brilliant point, where the Greens only see this issue as something to ban, the federal government only sees it as a source of revenue, but guess what? There are people over them there hills and they need what we have.
Paul, I think the Japanese know it better than anyone. If you do not have energy security, you do not have national security. And I think the Japanese are sending a very pointed message to Australia. And we are, of course, talking about Japan. This is not a country that typically speaks so bluntly and candidly, but it needs to because its security is at stake if Australia continues to go down the path that Albanese is taking us.
Now, give us an idea here of, again, not just the financial circumstances, but as you say, energy security and national security. Australia's in this scenario right now where the zeitgeist is to move from the way we used to do it to the new world of renewables, but the best metaphor I can say is we're going from the four-wheel car that works to the three-wheel one that doesn't, because literally we're not able to replace what we are currently knocking out. Yet this seems to connect with no one in Canberra. Why is that the case? Because at some point there's going to be a reckoning, isn't there?
Paul, there has to be a reckoning. And this is related to the Japanese too, by the way. You can imagine in Japan, while they are worried about what Australia is doing to them with our supply of the resources they need, they then look at what Australia is doing to itself. And it would be giving the Japanese no comfort whatsoever. I mean, we have 80% of our baseload power exiting the grid by 2035 with absolutely zero guarantee of a replacement being there in time. Paul, I was in Japan just before Christmas and it didn't matter how many conversations I had. Every time I sat across the table from Japanese executives or industry leaders and I would explain what Australia was doing with basically racing to a cliff and the premature closure of power stations, that cliff coming closer to us, they were in disbelief. We are going down the wrong path. It is going to end in tears. And I think the Japanese know it far sooner than the majority of Australians know it.